everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Diamond, as you know. I'm bright, as always. It's some videos come out perfectly colored and beautiful, and then some days I look like this. Like I don't know how to eliminate that. Let me see. Okay, I tried to fix the brightness, it didn't work. And the only way that I noticed that if I do this, the brightness goes So if I'm sitting here having a conversation like this, Anyway, I've spent way too much time on this anyway. I'm going to talk to you today about something that has annoyed me always. It's always been a pet peeve of mine when it comes to dating, and that is the concept of the placeholder. So for those of you who do not know what a placeholder is, I'm gonna give you the rundown about it. Essentially, a placeholder is very, very different than a, let the words come to me. Rebound, shit. It's very different than a rebound. It's very different than just, going from a relationship to another relationship. A placeholder is something that you instinctively do. I heard a guy tell me he does it instinctively. It's something that you do when you are essentially waiting for the person you want to get out of a relationship or to come back or whatever the situation is so you can date them. And that means, shacking up with someone and just honestly using up that time because you're bored, you're lonely, you're horny. I don't care what the reasoning is. The point is you're not doing it because you want to be with this person, but instead you're doing it because you're waiting for another person. So we're going to unpack this a little bit and why it is the most annoying practice I have ever encountered when it comes to dating. So jumping right into it. So with the placeholder, the very first thing that I want people to consider is that it is an intentional effort to be not to be the placeholder, but to seek out a placeholder. So if you yourself are a placeholder, that's kind of out of your control unless the person tells you, hey, I'm only dating you until homegirl comes back from whatever she's at or whatever they're from or blah, blah, blah. But seeking out a placeholder takes thought. It's not something that you just stumble upon where it's like, oh, I was only with them and then suddenly the person that I actually want is back. Holy crap, what a coincidence. I wasn't alone for X amount of time. It is something that you directly do that you know that you're doing. And my problem with placeholders, people who seek out placeholders is that the concept of wasting someone else's time is not something that crosses their mind. Sometimes the assumption is that, hey, well, they're getting a relationship or sex or time out of this. It's not a waste of time for them, but without actually thinking about what this person actually likes you and is hoping to have a future with you. But in reality, you're waiting for someone else. And very little thought is brought into that. They're very much like, oh, I don't want to think about it like that. It's like, I'm lonely. And it's somewhat selfish, but as you have seen the other videos on my channel, a lot of dating is very selfish. It's very self-driven. Everything you pretty much do when dating is to benefit you receiving something from another person and not necessarily vice versa. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm talking about. So the concept of placeholdering, let's just say that placeholdering is in itself a very selfish endeavor. However, that's my however again. Y'all see I learned how to use Zoom. However, my point is, while placeholdering can be mad annoying for people who honestly want to be in a long-term relationship, the benefits of it, I can see the benefits of it. I guess that's what I'm trying to get to. So I think one of the biggest benefits for a placeholder relationship is one, yes, you're allowing yourself to interact with other people, but also potentially realizing, other people are great. That other person that I want is also great, but other people are great too. And I hate people being guinea pigs in situations, especially when it comes to relationships. Dear God, me and Derek have had so many conversations about this. But people being guinea pigs in other people's relationships, trying to figure out, oh, I don't know if I actually want to be with someone, so let me date someone for a while to see if I want to be with someone. Oh, no, I don't. Oh, gosh, blah, blah, blah. I hate that concept. Hate it. See, Now I'm back to being brown. I am beautiful and brown, I hate that concept. And I think with placeholdering, that concept is alive and well. It is very much I don't care about this other person's feelings. I just care about getting what I want out of the situation, which can be I want someone to have sex with in between the time this person becomes available that I actually want, or I'm very lonely, so I'm gonna just date someone until the person I become the person that the other person wants. Or any other reasons. There's tons of reasons people use placeholders, none of which I think are smart or kind or good for the soul, but it does open up a large array of ideas on how can you use being a placeholder to your advantage. So this is now advice for people who have found themselves being placeholders. Here's the tricky part. I don't think a lot of people, I think I've met like 3 guys in my life who admitted that either I was a placeholder or they have participated in placeholder-like activities. And when they explained it, they saw no problem with it. They're like, well, I don't get it. It's like, we're just, like, I'm just dating other people. See, that's a way that it can be framed. It's like, instead of thinking, you're using this person until this other person becomes available, they're like, I'm just dating other people. And if the person becomes available, then I'll start dating them. They don't necessarily think about it as wasting another person's time, as I said a couple of minutes ago, right? You heard it. I said it. I remember it. So if you find yourself in a placeholder situation, here are some tips I want to give to you. 1, really explain to the person what you're trying to get out of the situation. I know people are like, I don't like setting expectations in relationships. That's a fucking stupid statement, and I will make an entire video about setting expectations in your relationships, because that is some bullshit, and that is like underlying ideas that if I set expectations, I'm gonna lose a person. That's gonna be a totally different topic. In fact, I'm gonna write that down now. That's gonna be a new topic. Setting expectations in relationships. Why it's important. But I would say that if you sense that you are being used as a placeholder, and then maybe I should back it up. Let's back it up a little bit. What are some signs that you may be a placeholder? Let's start with that. Okay, here are some signs you may be a placeholder. 1, the person has told you, oh, I really want to be with this person, or I really have a thing for this person, or this other person. That this other person has always been the topic, and then suddenly you are now a candidate. That's a very first sign that you may potentially be a placeholder. Especially if you are available and you have stated to this person, I am interested in what you got going on. Whatever that may be. That's a very, very strong sign that you may be a placeholder if they have expressed multiple times, in the past or within your relationship, that they are interested in another person. And I say relationship because when I say relationship, I mean this is something that is between, X amount of people, because I'm not gonna dictate how many people are in y'all's relationships, but where it's not that casual, we're just hooking up, we're just friends, like you're in a relationship with this person, or these people. So another tip to try to realize if you are a placeholder is there enough incentive or I'm trying to be more tactful in the way I say things, y'all. Yeah. Is there a reason for this person to be with you? So that really negs at people when it comes to their self-worth, and that's a whole totally different video when it comes to self-worth and relationships, because I have a lot of words about that one. But think to yourself, does this person get anything from being in a relationship with me? So think outside of tangible items. So I know some people are like, I have a lot of money, I'm good looking, I have a big dick, I have a fat ass. Think beyond that shit. Think, does this person have a reason to be with me that is more than physicality, money, tangible items? And if you cannot think of something, you might be a placeholder. Because in most relationships, there is an exchange of emotional support. There's an exchange of trust. Besides building lives together, living with each other, there's a type of type of exchange that is not typically made between two people who are casually doing it. So if you realize this person has no incentive, like, you know, doesn't really have to be in this situation, doesn't need to be in this situation, you are not helping their world in any way aside from occupying space, you might be a placeholder. And while that can be comfortable for some people where they're like, you know, the pressure's off, I don't have to feel like I have to be vulnerable with this person, you know, it's baby stepping, it can get nauseous after a while. If you realize that the extent to your relationship is simply physical or time being spent, where it's like, whenever I'm available, you know, they tell me they're available. Like, it's just not an equal exchange of availability. You might be a placeholder. So, I forgot what my initial statement was. What was I trying to outline? Like, first, tips on if you are a placeholder, how to navigate that. Some people are fine to being placeholders. You know, it doesn't do anything against them, for them. They don't give a fuck. That means, you know, I was able to experience this with this person. Fine, dandy, great. Others, not so much, because they find it to be a complete waste of their time. Because if you didn't want to actually be with me, and I was just here, available, and we had a mutual attraction, don't waste my time like that. And I'm noticing, speaking to older people, that that's the biggest case. Like, younger people, yeah, it gets annoying. You're like, damn it, I wish there was something between us. I wish it worked. But you move on fairly quickly. But for adults, older adults, that shit gets annoying very quickly. And they're like, I thought this was something real. I invested more energy into this than I thought I should have. And now I have nothing to show for it except for them at their wedding. Because I had an instant where one of, like, my guy friends the situation was, he started dating this girl while this girl he really liked was on her mission. And when she came back from her mission, he broke up with the girl, proposed to that girl. They got married within like a month of her coming back. And the other girl's like, what the fuck? We've been dating for like 2 years and you break up with me for this other girl. So not everything is that extreme. That guy is a fucking dick. He's a piece of shit. Like, I tell him that all the time. I'm like, I know you're in a happy family right now. They had a kid. I'm like, but you're a straight piece of shit. Like, you suck. It's never that extreme, thank God. But in instances where it is kind of like, wow, I invested all this time and energy to be with you, and I thought that I was receiving the same, and then suddenly you break up with me because the person you actually wanted is now available. That's when it gets annoying. So I guess in the long run, if you find yourself being a placeholder, really analyze what that relationship means to both people. Now, part of me really hopes that people that know they're only, using it as a placeholder is going to be honest about it. They're going to be like, yeah, sorry, I'm only, the girl I really like, but I like you too, blah, 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 whatever. Are honest about that, but that's not always the case. I just don't want you to get hurt in the process of them trying to be happy. Which, essentially is what they're doing. They're like, all right, I'm gonna wait until they're available, and then I'll ultimately be happy, which is fine. The pursuit of happiness is one of those rights we have. But I don't want you to get hurt in the process of them trying to get their happiness. I don't think placeholdering is such a big thing yet, because I don't think a lot of people want to invest into a relationship when they're waiting for another person to become available. Because as much as they would like to say, oh, I'm only with her because Cheyenne's not available, at some point, the more time you spend with someone, the more you're going to be invested into them, and breaking that connection is going to be difficult regardless of what they say, But y'all already know. Y'all already know what this is. It's a ball, that's what it is. But yes, just think about that, especially since we are in the throes of cuffing season. I told y'all already what cuffing season was about, so don't act like this is brand new information. But I don't want you to get hurt thinking that a relationship is going to be something when it's not. Because placeholders are real, and you may be one of them. But ain't nothing wrong with that. You just need to figure out what you want to be. Do you want to be a placeholder, or do you want to be, someone's first choice? Which is ultimately what it comes down to. Being a placeholder means you're not the first choice. And that can really stick it to you. Trust me. Anyway, y'all, I hope this was a little informative. I guess my channel now is about dating advice because that's all I've been talking about lately. So that's what we're gonna go with. Dating and sex advice. All right. If you want to help support the channel, maybe help me figure out this lighting situation because I'm not standing like this the whole time. Look at how beautiful my skin is, y'all. Look at that. But you can't fucking tell because it's so goddamn bright. But if you want to support the channel, my Patreon is in the description below. You can join any of the tiers, whichever one you like. I personally love the first tier because it has my podcast on it. And shout out to Jacob Killback, who is currently the only listener. But yeah, check it out. It is pretty much the same thing I'm doing on my channel, except for to a very higher degree of weirdness, and I don't necessarily have to censor myself as much as I do on this channel, which, as you can see, I don't censor myself that much. So can you imagine what the podcast is like? But yeah, go ahead, listen to it, tell me what you think, and also comment below if you yourself think you're a placeholder or if you are a perpetrator of placeholdering. How are you navigating that, and how do you think in the long run that's going to affect the way you interact with people? If every time you want to be with someone, you have to be with someone else in the process. So anyway, I hope you have a wonderful week. Hopefully I'll have a video for y'all next week. I almost did not make this video because I am still sick and I am not in the best of moods because I am sick, not because anything's wrong. But I've been sick for like 3 weeks. It sucks. But I'll have a new video for you hopefully next week. I'm going to just press myself to keep making these videos. Thank you to the new people who have subscribed. It feels really cool like going onto the channel and saying, oh, I have a new subscriber. Anyway, I will see y'all next week. I hope you have a wonderful week, day, life, whatever. Stay warm.